We will discuss interior angles of polygons. Now first, let's see, what are polygons? Well, polygons are shapes that have 3 or more straight lines, and these lines only meet at their endpoints. All right? So what is a polygon? For example, a triangle, right? We also have a rectangle could be a polygon, right? Or let's see, I can have a pentagon that is a polygon, right? Or a hexagon. So we have in here triangle, rectangle, as well as a hexagon. All these are polygons, examples of them. Now let's look at this shape. This shape has straight line, but those straight lines are not meeting at their endpoints, they're crossing. That's not a polygon. And this one in here is not a polygon, it doesn't have a straight line, it has that curve, right? So that's also not a polygon. Then we have regular polygons. If you look at this regular polygons are polygons with all sides and angles that are congruent. That means everything has to be equal for regular polygon. Let's look at this example. In here it says, what is the sum of the interior angles of the polygon? Well, there's 2 ways to figure this out, and I will show you both ways. The first way is we can create triangles, all right? So let's look at the pentagon. I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to create triangles. So I'm going to, from one vertex, I'm going to draw lines to the other vertexes. Now we know every triangle is 180 degrees. So I'm going to see 1, 2, and I have 3 triangles, right? I created. Now every triangle is 180 degrees. So S, which means sum of the interior angles of that triangle, of that pentagon, is 3 times 180. And if you do 3 times 180, you will get 540 degrees. So the sum of the pentagon of their angles is 540. Now let's look at the next shape, which is a hexagon. It has 6 sides. If I create triangles, right? If I make my lines from one vertex to the edges of the other vertexes, right? Those endpoints. I created 4 triangles, and each triangle is 180 degrees. So I know to find a sum of all the angles, right? I will take 180 degrees times 4 triangles, and we will get 720 degrees. That is the sum of all the angles in this hexagon, actually in every hexagon. Now that is the first way. We have one more way. We have a formula that we can use to find the measure or the sum of interior angles of polygons. The formula says S, which means the sum, equals N, which stands for number of sides, minus 2, and all that is in a parentheses, times 180. We're going to use this formula to find the sum of the interior angles of this polygon. We're going to start with the pentagon. So we're going to replace N with the number of sides. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, right? So S equals, the sum equals, N, we said is 5, minus 2, and the whole thing gets multiplied by 180. We will first solve our parentheses, right, order of operations. 5 minus 2 is 3 times 180 degrees, and 3 times 180 is 540, and we found the sum of the interior angles of this polygon, which is my pentagon. Every pentagon is 540 degrees. Now let's look at the next shape. We have hexagon. We also going to kind of practice this formula real fast, all right? So first step is to write down the formula. The formula is S, which means the sum of all the angles, the interior angles, is equal to N, number of sides, minus 2, close your parentheses, times 180. How many sides we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So we will replace the N with the number 6, right? So S equals 6 minus 2, close parentheses, times 180. Let's see what is the inside of the parentheses, order of operations, right? 6 minus 2 is 4 times 180. And sum of all the angles is equal to 720 degrees, which is my hexagon. Remember, interior, all the angles inside it, if I was to add them up, they will give me 720 degrees. All right, now let's look at an example that's going to be just a little bit different. This time, they're giving me measures of the angles, but one angle. And we need to find the measure of the angle x. Well, step 1 is I need to know, to find that unknown, I need to know, well, what is the sum of all the angles supposed to equal to, right? So that is my first step. I need to find the sum. If I was to add all these angles up, what is it supposed to equal to, right? So let's find it. To find the sum of the angle measures, we will apply that formula. S equals n minus 2 times 180. How many sides we have, because we have to replace our n with how many sides we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides, right? So let's do that. S equals n is 6 minus 2 times 180 degrees. And we already have done this, right? We already know what hexagon is. So S equals 4 times 180. And we know that our hexagon is 720 degrees. So at this point, I know that if I add all these angles up, they're supposed to give me 720 degrees. And now, because I know that, I can find that one missing angle x. So now we're going to go step 2, find x. Let's add all these angles up, including our unknown x, and we will make it equal to 720 degrees. So we have 75 plus 145 plus 165 plus 85 plus 145 plus my unknown angle x, right? All these angles, if I add them up, I'm supposed to get 720 degrees. On our left side of the equal sign, let's combine all of our numbers, right? We cannot include the x because we don't know the x. We have to figure that one out. So let's figure out what is 75 plus 145 plus 165 plus 85 plus 145. So you all have calculators. We're going to all type it all nicely and neatly in to figure out what it is equal to. And if you add all known angles, we will get 615 plus the unknown angle x equals 720. Now we are solving for the x, right? So I know the 615 has to get subtracted from both sides. And I will find out that my x is equal to 720 minus 615, which is 105 degrees. So what we are saying that our unknown angle x is 105 degrees. Well, we always want to make sure that we are correct. And the only way to find out that we are correct is just to do a little check, right? To do our little check, I know that if I add all these angles up, right, I should get 720 degrees. We also figured out that our x is equal to 105 degrees. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add all these angles up and make sure that indeed my sum is equal to 720. So we're going to do 75 plus 145 plus 165 plus 85 plus 145 plus my unknown angle x, which we already figured out, right, which was 105. If I add all these up, I'm supposed to get 720 degrees. If you use your calculator and add them up, you will figure out that the sum of all of these angles is 720, and that is exactly what I wanted, so my answer checked. Now let's look what we have in here. The question says, find the measure of each interior angle of the regular polygon. Now remember what we said about regular polygons. Every angle in a regular polygon has the same measure, is congruent, right? So we are going to first find out how many degrees is inside this polygon using our formula s equals n minus 2 times 180. So we counted our sides, right, to replace the n. It's 6 minus 2, and the whole thing we're going to multiply by 180. Once we know the sum of all the angles, we know we have 6 of these angles, right? So first we know we will have to figure out 720 is the whole sum, right? If I add every angle up. Now listen, every angle measures the same. So it means I will take my 720 degrees and I will divide it by how many angles I have. And we have 6 angles. And 720 divided by 6 is 120 degrees. And that means every angle is 120 degrees. Every angle, because it's a regular polygon, is congruent. That means they should equal to 180. Make sure that we are correct. That means let's add up all of these 6 angles, right? So 120 added up to itself 6 times. And if you do that, you will get 720 degrees. So we did solve this correctly and our answer checks.